A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories. Today we're taking a closer look at the worrying situation that's developing in the northeast of India in Manipur. We're also taking a look at the markets, some politics and also that historic cricket win. I'm Tracy Shilshi. I'll be taking you through all that stories. But first, the headlines. Below than expected GDP data and falling Asian markets affect markets again. Sensex tanks by nearly 600 points. In Bihar again for a rally, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attacks the state's grand opposition alliance, claims Chief Minister Nitish Kumar sacrificed ideology and has not delivered on promises. Clashes trigger indefinite curfew in Manipur's Churchandpur district. 8 people are killed and 14 injured as tribal groups oppose bill which limits their ownership on land in the state. And Virat's men create history, win a test series in Sri Lanka for the first time in 22 years. But Ishant Sharma is suspended for one match for an on-field spat. Top story this evening, stock market saw another big slump on Tuesday, a day after the first quarter's GDP figures turned out to be less than expected. Weak global markets also weighing on sentiments, triggering heavy sell-offs. In fact, it wiped out over 2 lakh crore rupees from investors' wealth. Sensex tanked nearly 600 points, while Nifty dropped below the 2,800 mark.
Slower GDP growth in the first quarter of the current financial year and a jittery Asian market amid a weakening Chinese economy weighed heavily on the stock markets on Tuesday. Sensex and Nifty indices falling over 2%. At its day's low, Sensex fell over 700 points. It later recovered to end 587 points down. Nifty settled below the 2,800 mark.
जब भी ग्लोबल मार्केट्स इतने वोलाटाइल होते हैं और जब भी भारतीय बाजारों में गिरावट आती है विदेशी कारणों से, तो वो एक भरपूर मौका होता है खरीदारी करने का। मेरा ऐसा मानना है जो ब्लू चिप स्टॉक्स हैं, जिन सेक्टर्स में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, जैसे आप देखें फार्मा सेक्टर हुआ, एफएमसीजी हुआ, आईटी स्पेस हुआ, बैंकिंग हुआ, जिसमें गिरावट देखने को मिल रही है और ग्लोबल वोलेटिलिटी के चलते, और एफआईज एक सेलर हैं। मेरे को लगता है एक लंबी अवधि का नजरिया बना के इन सेक्टर्स में निवेश करने का मौका है ये।
Asian shares also fell after surveys showed China's manufacturing sector in the grip of its worst slump in 3 years. The Shanghai Composite Index lost 1.3%, Japan's Nikkei closed nearly 4% lower, and the European stock markets also began on a weak note. Uncertainty over interest rates in the United States has also kept investors cautious. Rise in rate could further impact the global market, which is already grappling with the crisis in China. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in a big relief for foreign investors, the government has accepted the Shah panel's report on waiver of tax on capital gains of earlier years. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley explained that the report suggests that no retrospective tax can be levied on foreign investors. Global banks and investors had challenged the legitimacy of MAT, which was intended to ensure companies inside India paid a minimum tax rate to foreign investors as gains. Jaitley also said that an amendment to the Income Tax Act to reflect it will be made possibly in the winter session of Parliament.
We were of the considered opinion that the alternative course suggested by the Justice Shah panel, which is the preferred course even according to them, that a necessary amendment in the provisions of Section 115JB of the Income Tax Act would be required. And we would be bringing out that amendment, hopefully in the winter session of Parliament, or whenever there is the next session of Parliament. We'll be able to bring out such an amendment expeditiously.
On to politics now, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed his 4th rally in Bihar in Bhagalpur today, launching a scathing attack on the grand non-NDA alliance. Modi demanded that they give an account of work done by them in the state over the last 25 years.
जो सरकार में बैठे हैं, वो अगर आपसे वोट मांगने आए, आप उनको सवाल कीजिए कि आपने वादा किया था कि 2015 में अगर मैं बिजली न दूं तो मैं वोट मांगने के लिए नहीं आऊंगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi urging the people of Bihar to vote for the NDA alliance, saying the ruling party had hardly done anything for the state. He said that those in power have to be accountable for the promises they make.
2019 में जब लोकसभा का चुनाव आएगा, मैं फिर से आपके पास वोट मांगने के लिए आऊंगा और जब 2019 में आऊंगा तो दिल्ली में मेरी सरकार ने क्या काम किया है, पाई पाई का हिसाब दूंगा, पल पल का हिसाब दूंगा.
Attacking the rally of the Grand Alliance held just 2 days ago, Modi also said that all they could talk about was him. There were plenty of counterattacks from the BJP's star campaigner to the Grand Alliance's allegations.
बिहार कैसा बने, बिहार को आगे कैसे ले जाया जाए, इसके विषय में कोई चर्चा नहीं हुई, कोई योजना नहीं बनी. मतदाताओं ने वोट क्यों देना चाहिए, इसके लिए कोई मुद्दे पेश नहीं किए गए. भाइयों बहनों, किया क्या गया? मोदी 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 मोदी. तो मुझे खुशी है कि मुझे 25 साल तक जिन्होंने जातिवाद का जहर फैलाया, संप्रदायता का जहर फैलाया, उन लोगों को मजबूरन 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 पैकेज लेकर के आना पड़ा है भाइयों.
Modi also tried to set right the acrimony created over his DNA remark. Making amends, Modi termed Biharis the most intelligent people.
2-3 दिन तो हमारे पैकेज की मजाक उड़ाते रहे, बाल की खाल उधेड़ते रहे, लेकिन बिहार की जनता के गले उतार नहीं पाए. बिहार की जनता शायद हिंदुस्तान में सबसे तेज बुद्धिमान लोग कहीं है तो बिहार की धरती पर है.
Dubbed as Parivartan Rally, the Bhagalpur rally was Modi's fourth in the run-up to the assembly elections. Sounding confident, the Prime Minister said no matter how many parties formed an alliance, the voters would still vote for the BJP. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, campaigning clearly in full flow in Bihar and reacting to Prime Minister Modi's attack, the opposition accused the centre of not having fulfilled any of its election promises. Leaders said that the people in Bihar can expect more from the Grand Alliance than count on the Prime Minister.
87% पुरानी चीज़ों को फिर से रीपैकेजिंग करके और जो ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स है 40,000 करोड़, तो आज यही कर रहे थे कि 1,25,000 करोड़ में खुलेआम 40,000 करोड़ जोड़कर 1,65,000 का उल्लेख बार-बार कर रहे हैं.
I saw unmistakable signs of the possible defeat on his face. That was a good sight for us, but it does not speak well for the star campaigner for BJP, my Prime Minister. Secondly, I feel that he is coaxing statistics. He is playing with numbers, whereas he doesn't know the direction of the numbers and what numbers say.
Result is negative. So this is only a campaign. And every visit to Bihar, Narendra Modi ji is denigrating or degrading the position of the Prime Minister.
All right, now let's head on to the northeast of India, where the death toll in the Manipur violence climbed up to 8 as 3 more people were killed in police firing in Churchandpur district today. 31 people are reportedly injured. The situation became tense within hours after the assembly passed a few contentious bills yesterday, allowing land access for non-tribals.
Indefinite curfew imposed in Manipur's Churachandpur district. Fresh violence on Tuesday saw security forces opening fire at protesters who attacked the police station. The clashes started barely hours after the state assembly passed 3 land bills on Monday. An angry mob set ablaze houses of state and 5 MLAs. Minister of State for Home Kiran Rijiju said that the centre will send additional troops to control the situation.
We are monitoring the situation in Manipur. We have discussion with the officials of the Manipur state, and we have got some requests for additional forces which we are ready to send. And it's very sad that so much of violence took place because of misunderstanding with the valley and hills people. So we hope the situation will come back to normal as soon as possible.
The situation should have been monitored properly by both. I don't mean only the state government, the union government also.
Protesters are agitating against the passage of Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reform Act Amendment Bill 2015. It gives non-tribals access to areas which were off limits to them now. With this, they fear tribals like Kukis and Nagas will end up losing their land.
The government brought a bill in the assembly, and inner line permit bill was passed unanimously in the assembly yesterday. This is applicable only to the plain area, not to the tribal area. But the misinformation was given to the tribal people of Surachandpur by the underground, by the militant group, saying that it will affect the tribal area also.
The inner line permit is a government travel document to allow travel of any citizen into a protected area for a limited period. It is obligatory for citizens from outside that state to obtain permit for entering the protected area. In the last 3 years, Manipur has been witnessing violent protests over the implementation of inner line permit system. Protesters believe an influx of outsiders into the state has taken away jobs and land from the indigenous people. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this story, we're joined by Nishit Dholabhai, who's the assistant editor with The Telegraph, joining us from the capital. Nishit, one of the, the main claims really of the protesters is that this Land Reforms Act, the bill which was of course passed yesterday, this in fact allows non-tribals to get into the lands which of course was not accessible to them, into tribal land, and this of course is going to make the Nagas and Kukis lose their land. Has there been any kind of clarification that is coming from the state government on this particular clause?
See, I think there is inadequate clarity on this one. Although the state government had some statement yesterday after a meeting by the chief minister, but the basic point is that parts of Lamka town, which is Churachandpur, Churachandpur is the district, Lamka is the district headquarters. Part of Lamka town is covered under this act, which means people in this area, for example, employers in this area would have to register with a registering officer. The people, I mean, at least in Lamka town, people feel that the government has, very surreptitiously inserted some elements into this act, which would, would harm their own interests.
Access to their own land.
In the sense that it is about access to access to land, and how they would behave with and what kind of permissions would be needed. Especially, see, the three acts which have been passed are all related in a way to outsiders. When all the provisions are essentially related to outsiders, but they are all interconnected.
Yes.
And the Land Revenue Act is essentially for the revenue areas in the plain areas, but some part of Lamka town has been covered apparently. There is not adequate clarity on this from the state government. And that is why you will see, that it is only Churachandpur district which has been affected. It is not the other districts of Chandel or Ukhrul or other districts which are affected. Although there is some solidarity among the tribals, because there is a clear misunderstanding, or perhaps there is an atmosphere of suspicion between the valley and the hills. I think the state government needs to clear it, and the center as well needs to make it very clear, that this is that you put an end to this kind of atmosphere or suspicion.
It's unfortunate really that there's been no word, of course, coming in from the center, except for Mr. Kiran Rijiju, who's of course claiming that the situation is hopefully under control in a few days. We do know the army, we got paramilitary forces, of course, in Churachandpur district, and like you mentioned, in the Lamka area. What do we see the state government doing? Just hoping for, of course, the violence to settle down, the curfew to make things cool down, and hopefully we'll probably be hearing something from them. Is that what the state government is waiting for?
I mean, eight people have already been killed. Violence is continuing. So you have this cycle of violence going on and on. I think Mr. Rijiju has put his finger on the right thing. That there is a problem between the hills and the valley. There is a kind of atmosphere of suspicion, which I think the Chief Minister should step in, come out and give out a statement clarifying the entire thing. 2 hours back, at least some sections of the government here in Delhi did not have a copy of the bill.
Yes.
Yesterday, students have gone and asked the governor of Manipur that please do not give assent to the bill because we have not been taken into confidence. There are 20 MLAs from the hills. 10 are from the Kuki-dominated areas and 10 are from the Naga-dominated areas. And even among these, the majority are from the ruling party. More than 10 are from the ruling party.
All right.
So obviously there is not going to be much voice from the hills. So when there is not much voice from the hills, you will have these kind of
see a situation like this, which is now unfortunately spiraling out of control. Nishit, thanks so much for joining us with those details, trying to help us understand the story a little more. We'll keep an eye out, of course, on developments there in Manipur. But right now, a quick break here. And up next, we're getting international news, and satellite pictures confirm ancient site of Palmyra is completely razed to the ground by Islamic State militants. Details of that in just a bit.
India's Muslim population. What problems does it face? How does this minority see and handle its own problems? What are their expectations from the country and the country's expectations of them? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, various leaders have reacted to Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari's speech yesterday on the challenges confronting the Muslim community. Calling the government's official objective of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas commendable, he reminded that significant sections of the community remain trapped in a vicious circle. The Vice President also said that the community should itself make an autonomous effort in identifying shortcomings.
Delivering the 50th anniversary session of the All India Majlis-e-Mushawarat on Monday, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari identified the principal problems confronting India's Muslims.
इन सरकारी रिपोर्टों के जायजे से ये बात जाहिर होती है कि हिंदुस्तानी मुसलमानों को दरपेश बुनियादी मसाइल 4 उमूर से मुताल्लिक हैं। अव्वल, तशख़्ख़ुस और तहफ़्फ़ुज़। 2 और ख़ुद को बाख्तियार बनाना। 3, सरकारी मराहत में मसावी हिस्सेदारी। और 4, फैसला साजी में मुनसिफाना शमूलियत।
Vice President Ansari made a pitch for strategies to address problems of identity and security confronting Muslims. He underlined the importance of political sagacity and public opinion in taking corrective action by the state. Equally, he called on the Muslim community itself to make an autonomous effort in identifying shortcomings. Underlining that there is ample theoretical space for focused thinking on social change without disturbing the fundamentals of faith, the Vice President stressed on efforts to be made in the context of Indian conditions and its plural, secular and democratic traditions.
There is a need for appropriate affirmative action which can help Muslims to overcome their miserable plight, because access to education, access to employment is an issue for a majority of Muslims, particularly the Muslim women.
माननीय अंसारी साहब ने जो बात कही है बहुत उचित बात कही है और इस महत्वपूर्ण पद पर रहते हुए उन्होंने इतनी बड़ी बात कही है। सरकार की आंख खुलनी चाहिए। ये बात सही है कि सिर्फ नारे से सबका साथ सबका विकास कहने से नहीं होगा, ये दिखना भी चाहिए, ज़मीन पर नज़र भी आना चाहिए।
Vice President Ansari concluded his speech by reminding that the Indian experience of the Muslim minority living in a secular polity could even be a model for others to emulate. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
10 central trade unions have decided to go ahead with their one-day strike in the unorganized sector despite the government's attempt to prevent it. The unions gave a 12-point charter of demands that includes mandatory minimum wages and raising bonus ceiling and social security for workers. Arguing against the Make in India, the initiative, the unions called the government's flagship project an insult to the country's workforce as it shows them as cheap labor. The government played down the strike, though, saying that it will not impact essential services. It also appealed to the unions to withdraw their call in the nation's interest.
Main demands are against the way in which government is trying to change the labor laws, against the workers to benefit the corporates. Contract labor should get minimum wage, pension for all. We have a 12-point charter on the basis of which we are going on strike tomorrow.
And now let's take you nationwide for more updates from across the country. The Karnataka police has formed 4 teams to investigate the murder of renowned scholar M.M. Kalburgi. The state CID is investigating leads in Kolhapur district and also an extremist angle. Kalburgi was shot dead at his house at Dharwad on Sunday. The Karnataka government has also sought a probe by the CBI. The agency will consult the Union Home Ministry before taking a final call. Physical education degree holders today staged violent protests outside the Uttar Pradesh Assembly in Lucknow. The students demanded employment, holding a protest against State Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav. Police lathi charged the protesters, who in turn pelted stones at security personnel. Water cannons were also used to disperse the protesters who set a car on fire. Ratan Wattal took charge as the new finance secretary. He is a 1978 batch IS officer of the Andhra Pradesh cadre and was the expenditure secretary in the finance ministry. He is the senior most among secretaries in the ministry. The flood situation in Assam and West Bengal turned grim after incessant rainfall of the last 2 days. The flood situation has affected over 7.3 lakh people in 14 districts, and 6 more people lost their lives, taking the death toll to 23. 1 lakh hectares of nearly 1,600 villages have been submerged. International Newsline, one of the most culturally significant pieces of architecture in the world has been destroyed. Displaying satellite imagery, the UN has confirmed that the main temple in the ancient city of Palmyra in northern Syria has been demolished. There were unconfirmed reports of an explosion at the Temple of Bel triggered by the Islamic State. UN satellite analysts say that the satellite image now shows almost nothing remains. UNESCO says the 2,000-year-old temple was one of the most important religious buildings of the 1st century AD in the East and had a unique design. Meanwhile, in the US, hundreds of classified emails from Hillary Clinton's account has revealed that former Taliban chief Mullah Omar was given shelter by Pakistan's spy agency ISI in 2001. Pakistan has long denied the ISI's connections with the Taliban leader who died 2 years back. Here are more details.
The US State Department has released another 7,000 pages from Hillary Clinton's private email server. It has disclosed over 150 classified emails from her account. One of the emails dating back to 2010 claims that Pakistan's ISI had sheltered former Taliban chief Mullah Omar. It also provided details of the hideout where Omar was kept in 2001 when his group fled from Afghanistan during the US attacks. However, Pakistani authorities have strongly refuted reports of direct links between ISI and Mullah Omar. Taliban had concealed news of his death since 2003. Mullah Omar is reported to have died at a hospital in Karachi 2 years ago. This batch of emails includes a 3-page letter in which Clinton urges WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange not to make public the contents of a diplomatic cable. In August, Clinton gave the US Justice Department access to her private email server as the FBI is investigating how classified information was sent to her personal email address. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you more international news updates in Global Buzz. A second foreign suspect has been arrested in connection with the Bangkok blast case. He is being described by the Thai authorities as the key suspect in the case. This is the second arrest. However, it's still not clear if either of them are believed to be the suspect seen with a backpack on a CCTV footage just before the blast. Bangladesh police has charged 5 suspected extremists with the murder of blogger Washikur Rahman. He is one of the 4 secular writers hacked to death in the country in the past few months. Rahman was killed near his home in Dhaka in March. 141 people remain hospitalized after a nationalist protest in Kiev turned violent, with 10 of the injured in serious condition. The nationalist protesters clashed with police outside Ukraine's parliament on Monday as lawmakers voted to give greater powers to Russia-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine. The Italian Navy rescued some 100 migrants off the coast of Libya, with thousands more expected to arrive on European shores over the coming weeks. More than 111,000 migrants and refugees have reached Italy via sea so far, and overwhelming local reception centres. The Italian government has been forced to seek help from EU partners. All right, changing focus now. Let's talk cricket. And India defeated Sri Lanka by 117 runs in the third and final test in Colombo on Tuesday to win a series on the island for the first time since 1993. Chasing a target of 386, the hosts were bowled out for 268 after tea on the 5th day, despite a fighting 110 from skipper Angela Matthews. Matthews and debutant Gusal Pereira took on 135 for the 6th wicket. But then Ravichandran Ashwin finished with 4 wickets, while Ishant Sharma took 3. Chiteshwar Pujara's comeback knock of 145 not out in the first innings earned him the Man of the Match award. Ashwin won the Man of the Series award after taking 21 wickets in the 3 tests. This is the first ever Test series win for Virat Kohli after he took over captaincy last year. This is also only the 3rd time that India has come back from a 0-1 deficit to win a Test series ever. However, Ishant Sharma has been suspended for 1 test on disciplinary grounds after his on-field spat with Sri Lankan players on day 4. Dinesh Chandimal too was handed 1 match suspension, while Tirumane and Damika Prasad were fined 50% match fees.
We believed that we can turn the series around, because the way we lost in Galle was because we played bad cricket in 2 sessions and we won 6 sessions there. So there was a lot of positive to take from that game, and we focused on that rather than, the bad cricket that we played. So I think it took a lot of effort from all the guys to stay positive and turn things around, which we believe we could do. And I think me and Ashwin are sitting here talking about winning the series because of that belief that we had even after losing the first game. And I think that's very, very important.
We need a top order to fire, to be honest. But chasing 385, we could have chased it down if we had a good start. We kept losing wickets. We lost 3 wickets for 20 runs, and it was a little too much for us, for the middle order players to go out there and score that 385.
And now let's get you more updates from the world of sports. Serena Williams and Rafael Nadal won their first rounds in the US Open. Serena won as her opponent Vitalia Daichenko retired 6-2, 2-0 down. Nadal also saw off 18-year-old Borna Coric in 4 sets. The world number 1 Novak Djokovic meanwhile went through, but 4th-seeded Kei Nishikori crashed out, losing in 5 sets to Frenchman Benoit Paire. Commonwealth Games silver medalist L. Devendra Singh assured himself a place in the upcoming World Championships by storming into the Asian Championships semi-final on Tuesday. He has also assured himself a medal at the Championships. Devendra defeated Cornelis Kwangulangu of Indonesia 3-0 in his quarter-final bout. Vishwanathan Anand's hunt for an elusive victory continued as he was held to a draw against Wesley So of the US in the 7th round of the Singerfield Cup. This was Anand's 5th drawn match in as many rounds. He remained on joint 8th position with just 2 more rounds to go in the competition. The logo for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics Games has been scrapped after allegations that it was plagiarized. The Games Organizing Committee said there were too many doubts over the emblem for it to be used. The decision comes after a Belgian artist had complained that his design was stolen. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.